do it.
Yes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to It All Depends on the Situation. I am your host once again, Eric, and I am joined by my good friend, Kevin.
Hello.
Back for more trouble as we dive into one of my favorite fandoms, The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion.
It's been fun so far.
Yeah. Kevin's actually giving it a first-time try now, even though you're the one I think that... You and I think one of the Solomon brothers got me into Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind way back in the day.
I played so much of that game.
Yeah. I thought it literally, it just created an all-new map. It wasn't, some real big thing, but it took, days to even walk from place to place. It was such a massive game growing up.
I think it only felt that big because there was no fast travel.
Correct.
And you had to find the bugs, the silt striders.
You just had to sit there and just, walk and walk and walk. But the very next version of the game was Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4. This came out in 2006. Kind of came out right when the Xbox 360 originally released. Yeah. And that game for me it sucked up a ton of my time back in the latter part of my high school years.
For sure. I remember it being very popular. I just remember not playing it.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was kind of surprised because, you went so hard into Halo, or not Halo, but the other podcast we were talking about. You went so hard into Morrowind, Elder Scrolls 3, that I thought for sure it'd be natural for it to get into Elder Scrolls 4.
Which is weird because Morrowind is so insufferable sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Especially the combat. It's very
bad.
Yeah. Especially those little pterodactyl things flying at you.
Yeah. The cliff racers, my God, they're everywhere. But Oblivion, for my first run, has been slightly infuriating at times, but fun.
Well, because you went from Morrowind to Skyrim and then back to Oblivion. Because Skyrim's Elder Scrolls 5, the combat's a lot better.
It's very watered down.
Yes, and more simplified. I think
very simple. I kind of prefer the older alchemy system. Not that it makes much of a difference one way or the other. I just think I like it more.
Yep.
And then the spell system and stuff is a little different. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I feel like Skyrim is definitely a good jumping on point for a lot of people. Just because it's easy to grab.
Exactly. It's more simplified. They've really dumbed down a lot of stuff to a very simplistic stance.
Yeah, you don't have to repair anything.
Yeah. Where our other friend Sean argues, he says the newer Elder Scrolls games kind of feel like there's really no difference between classes because everybody kind of feels like a spell sword. Because, you could be, go around and, you could try and be stealthy, but at the same time, you're always going to have strong, blade skills and, conjure whatever.
Right, which I kind of like the Skyrim progression system, how you can jump up and put points wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But, it kind of...
It destroys the build system, I feel like.
It does.
So, which I kind of agree with as well.
Yeah.
So, whereas with Oblivion's level up system was a lot different because you had to choose major skills, and then you had minor skills.
Which I didn't really understand how that worked at first, so I just picked things. I'm like, I use these in Skyrim, and I regret all that decisions, because there's some that go up really fast, and other things you have to slog, like the mercantile.
Yep.
I wish that wasn't one of my primaries.
Oh, God. That would take a while.
Yeah, it's infuriating.
You're constantly, having to, barter with people, and
And I didn't realize that when I started playing it, I'm like, okay, this guy has 1,000 gold. I'm used to Skyrim where I can rob everybody of their money. I can sell a potion for 5,000. They'll give me the 1,000 they have. That's money in my pocket. Now these guys have 1,000. You can sell them 1,000 things, but they'll only give you $1,000 for it.
Correct. There's only a max cap of how much they can give you.
But then you find weapons that are worth $50,000. Why? Why have it worth that much?
Right.
Is that just to show a rarity, or I don't understand? But it doesn't matter. I have the weapons that I use, and that's what I stick with.
Yep. The thing I liked about Oblivion, there was far more glitches, I feel like, in that game where you could exploit other things for instance, the paintbrush in Oblivion had no physics. So you could basically turn it into a ladder. So if you use a multiplication, glitch, which you could do through...
The spells?
At one point, you could do it through spells, or you could do it through what we did before, arrows. So you could actually, click on your arrow quiver, and then click on a smaller arrow quiver, and then, you clicked on your arrow quiver, and then you clicked on the item that you wanted. I think you dropped it, and then you shot an arrow, and it would multiply that thing.
Yeah,
now you can do the same thing with spells.
Oh, yeah, I was doing it with the scrolls.
Yep, that's what I do too. So basically, I go and buy this staff that's worth $3,000 called the Apotheosis or something from Reindeer Staffs or something.
Yeah.
I went in there, and then basically there's this other vendor lady across the way in the Imperial marketplace. her max level cap is like $2,000.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what the heck? I'll just sell her like 3 copies of the staff and I'll get like 2,000 every time.
Yeah.
So I'll just sit there and go after I made like about 100 of these staffs, and you end up with like well over $100,000.
Yeah. I did the thing with the scrolls. I multiplied a bunch, and then I made these potions that were worth like $1,500 a piece. And I went into the Three Brothers
and just sold them all bit by bit. It's like click.
But apparently, if you sell them one at a time, you'll get more skill that way instead of selling as clumps. And
that brings up mercantile. So that's the way you get around that.
I've sold him probably 6,000 of these things.
Oh yeah.
I have so much money and I can't spend it. I just keep buying spells that I can't cast.
Well, what you'll eventually end up buying, like, because there's a house in every like city that you go to.
Yeah, I bought several.
You'll basically, you'll end up buying like a ton of houses in the course of everything.
You know what I do with them? Nothing.
Exactly.
I'm afraid to store anything in them.
Now, there is a secret hidden in-house quest in the Skingrad house. So if you go over there, and I think there's like, a hint to a treasure map, but it doesn't bring it up in a quest menu. It's kind of like a hidden quest. Yeah. But if you look down in the basement, I think up inside like one of the connector beams, there's actually like a little sack there that has like stuff in it. Huh. But it's a little cool, like hidden inside quest.
Is Skingrad the place that's ruled by the vampire?
Yes. Okay. So it's kind of like one of the cooler looking cities they have in Oblivion.
I remember like for some reason, every time I have to go talk to the Count, it takes me in a side door. So I have to break in and I'm trespassing every single time.
Yep.
And the only way you can ever talk to the Count is for the intermediary person to come find you. And so if you go in the back door, they come flying up at you and they're like, okay, I'll go talk to the Count. And they don't leave you alone because you're trespassing.
Yeah. It was such a clunky thing with the Count of Skingrad because, oh my gosh. Actually, the first thing you do, I think, is supposed to be the Mages Guild recommendation.
Yeah.
Like you end up getting there and the guy's just like, oh yeah, the Count will meet you out in this foreign field.
Yeah.
And then you proceed to like realize that you're being ambushed and the Count comes out of nowhere and he's like, why would you ever think I would meet you in such a precarious place?
Yeah.
And it's like,
oh, hey, this guy.
I don't know. We've never met before.
Right.
So how's that my fault?
Yeah, and it's his little helper that tries to get you.
Yeah, that's so goofy with that one. So, and then if you ever run into this, because I don't think you've run into this quest yet, the Cure for Vampirism, that one can break your game a lot of times because, like, he's one of the main guys that helps you on that quest to kind of, like, get over the vampire disease. And sometimes it can glitch out and you won't ever get a cure and you're just screwed.
Oh, man.
So it just all depends. So however your game plays out. Huh?
Depends on the situation.
It does depend on the situation. So title drop.
Plug.
Since we're busy talking about aimlessly wandering the wilderness throughout all the different Elder Scrolls games like Oblivion, Morrowind, and Skyrim, I have another audiobook recommendation for you, now available on Audible. It's called Greater Than a Tourist, Pennsylvania Wilds, 50 Tips from a Local, written by author Karen Bell and narrated by me, Eric Brown. Definitely check it out sometime.
I want my revenue stream.
But yeah, Oblivion, like I said, fantastic game. And I remember, like, I used to play the game like I did Morrowind, where I would just hoof it everywhere.
Yeah.
Until your cousin Bernie, now I guess my cousin Bernie as well, because we're all related in some way, shape, or form. He basically told me, "Oh, why don't you just fast travel?" I'm like, "What?" And you can basically click on any place that you visited, and it will fast travel you. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
I did that in Morrowind when it's like you have to wait till the vendors open, and I would stand outside or go do something and hope to God I came back in time. I didn't realize you could wait.
Yep.
Paul Solomon's like, why don't you just wait? I'm like, I have no idea what you're telling me to do right now. Like, I do. I let my guy sit out there for 6 hours.
Right.
He's like, no, there's a button. Holy shit.
You gotta be kidding. It's amazing what you learn from, like, other players. Just like, dang, nabbit.
I would pay $100 for a completely redone Morrowind.
Oh, yeah.
Like
that's what a lot of gamers have been hoping for too.
With dialogue instead of text. Not that I can't read all that well, but it's just a lot. And then the more text prompts you get, the more options there are to talk to somebody.
It's just this monotonous chain of like you click on one thing and all of a sudden like 5 more text prompts pop up. It's like no.
Yeah, and they always add and they don't ever go away. So you have to scroll to the bottom every time you want to talk to somebody.
Elder Scroll. That's why they drop it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah.
Insert It's Always Sunny meme here.
Right.
But yeah, Elder Scrolls is
it's fun. It's a good franchise.
Oh yeah, probably by far one of my favorites. And I'm waiting with bated breath to see how the next Elder Scrolls 6 turns out, because
if it ever comes out,
it will. But like, I don't know what it's going to look like. If it's going to be littered with microtransactions, or if it'll be half-baked or like a really crappy story, we have yet to see, because this has been the longest wait in between different series of the original Elder Scrolls series arcs, because from Morrowind to Oblivion was only about a 4-year wait, 2002 to 2006. And then there was a 5-year wait from 2006 to 2011 for Skyrim.
Yeah.
And I think the very last thing they did for that was, I think, the Dragonborn add-on, which came out in 2013, 2014, I think, somewhere around there.
Which was really good.
It was, the add-ons for that. They advertised, they said that there was only going to be 2 expansions for this, but there's going to be a lot of meat on the bones, is what the developers said. And it definitely delivered.
And I think they're putting a lot of resources into ESO, right?
Yes, ESO is, I think it's, ZeniMax, I think, is like another one of their companies, I think, is basically spearheading Elder Scrolls Online, which kind of breaks the lore a little bit, which is very controversial in the Elder Scrolls community. But, I mean, I've enjoyed ESO. It's very repetitive, and it's basically pointless unless you have, like, at least another friend or a group that you're playing with. Because trying to do it like a group cave, forget it. If you're by yourself, you just get murked. Oh, my gosh.
I have not played.
Yeah. If you should play with me sometime whenever I get my computer back, because it's in the repair shop right now. So, but it's worth a playthrough. It's, I mean, obviously better graphics and everything like that, but it could also be a microtransaction pit. Yeah. So if you're not careful,
as long as the next Elder Scrolls at least looks and plays something similar to Morrowind or Skyrim or Oblivion, I'll be okay with it.
Yep. Well, I imagine it's going to be great, because they've already said, I think it's going to be in the province of Hammerfell. So that's the homeland of the Red Guards. I'm pretty sure. So,
isn't that where the second one was? Oh, it was Daggerfall.
Yeah, Daggerfall.
That was
that one's up at High Rock.
Bretons.
So that's if you look at the map of Tamriel, it's the very northwest corner. Yeah. So right below that, Hammerfell it looks like it's bigger than Skyrim, but not as big as Cyrodiil.
Yeah, Cyrodiil. Big. Morrowind itself is actually huge.
It is. Well, the funny thing is, Morrowind, it's not even the mainland. It's like this little innate island in the middle of the horseshoe of like the mainland Morrowind.
Yeah, in the game. It's
actually called Vardenfell.
Yeah, when I was playing that, I went over to Solstheim. Place is such garbage.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the original Morrowind, compared to when you go there again in Skyrim, it's like a whole night and day change.
It seems much more fleshed out, even if it is just burned over.
Yep. But I mean, obviously things are going to be a lot better when it's like, 2 generations later, type of graphics.
Just remake Morrowind for me in the Skyrim engine. Give me some voice dialogue. Make things look a little nicer, clean it up, and get rid of what was the thing in Morrowind? Oh, the horrible combat. Oh, the percentage-based combat. Get rid of that, please.
Yep. Which, I don't know, it could be in the works, but I do know what is in the works is supposedly later this year is supposed to be, the remaking Oblivion.
And Fallout 3.
I don't know
when that one's coming out, but yeah, the remasters are supposed to come. I will play the bejesus out of some.
Yeah. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster, I will definitely play again, because that was a lot of fun. Or at least the original was like a ton of fun for me.
I think as long as they fix the faces, I'll be okay with it.
Right.
I cannot tolerate the faces in that game.
The same 4 voice actors for every single thing.
Just being the same one voice actor for everything.
Wes Johnson.
And
goated.
A little bit of
Shea Gorath.
Does he do that voice too?
Yeah, that's Wes Johnson.
That's fantastic.
Cheese for everyone.
I like his character.
Hey, scratch that, no cheese.
Summon Haskell. Oh, do it again. He loves it. He loves it. Do it again. Just one more time. Oh, my lord loves when you do this, doesn't he?
Yep. Yeah, Shivering Isles was one heck of an add-on. Fantastic. Very colorful compared to even though Morrowind itself was very immersive in a lot of ways, because it's like you were literally in this land, and
it's very alien.
It's very cinematic at the very beginning too, because it's like it's panning through it's going around like the white gold tower and everything. And it's like, holy crap, the scale of this game is epic.
Yeah.
And I think they got a lot of inspiration for Oblivion from Lord of the Rings. The movies had just come out from 2001 through 2003. This ended up coming out in 2006. So they took a lot of inspiration behind, a lot of, obviously the Oblivion Gates looks like Sauron's eye.
Yeah.
If you really look at it, it's just like, oh, okay, there's an inspiration there.
Yeah.
So, and then they have Sean Bean, plays Boromir.
Yeah.
He plays Martin Septim in the Oblivion games.
I haven't found any yet, but are there Dwemer facilities in Oblivion?
I'm pretty sure there are. Not 100% sure.
Yeah, not that I haven't found any, but I haven't looked either. I just know those alien structures are freaking everywhere.
Yeah, there's a bunch of alien structures.
Which I kind of thought maybe they switched to those.
Is there Dwemer structures? That's a great question, because it's been a while since I played it. Maybe towards like the northern part of Cyrodiil. Okay. Check around like different caves up there. There might be something, but I don't know. I'll have to check. But that's one thing about like dungeon and like going into dives and delves. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff to explore in Oblivion.
Apparently there's not.
Wow, kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, that's weird.
I thought like maybe it'd be towards like the northern part, because like
towards Skyrim.
The dwarves, yeah, they were more towards like the northern part of Skyrim and in Morrowind, yeah, those
all
two.
over in Morrowind.
Mm-hmm.
The structures were so annoying to go to in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much racket in there.
There's all the banging the pipes and everything like that.
They, I feel like they made them look and feel much nicer in Skyrim.
That's like an interesting thing too about like if you go back to the history of the dwarves, because the whole thing with the dwarven and apparently it goes back to the whole Heart of Lorkhan, where they ended up striking the Heart of Lorkhan, and then all of a sudden all the dwarves just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Oh, is that what happened to them?
Yeah, they're just automatically the entire race is just gone.
Huh.
So I wonder if like maybe they got like time locked, kind of like Alduin did.
Maybe.
Like the antagonist of Skyrim. He was like a dragon that was captured by an Elder Scroll and transported through time into the future and ends up coming back. So I wonder if they're going to have a similar type of thing with the dwarves coming back.
That'd be cool.
So I think that's a future plot line waiting to happen.
There's one left in Morrowind. You find him.
Who?
Oh, Dwemer.
Really?
Yeah. He's part of the main quest. When you end up going somewhere and you have to find a Telvanni guy, one of the elves, and he makes you go. You end up getting Corpus syndrome or Corpus syndrome or disease or whatever, and he makes you go down in like the Corpusarium to retrieve something. And there's he's the last Dwemer. He's like this big fat dude on these spider legs. He's got like these mechanical spider legs, and he gives you these boots to take back up to the Telvanni guy.
He's like, here you go.
And for that being a couple hundred years before Skyrim, you can find the other Telvanni wizard, Master Neloth.
Oh, yeah.
From Solstheim in the Dragonborn expansion in Skyrim.
Yeah, I figured because that name sounded familiar. I'm like, that sounds like him. He was over in the giant mushroom over on the southeast corner of Solstheim.
Yeah, he's still a dick.
Oh, yeah.
And it's weird that
I'm probably the most powerful wizard you ever met.
I don't know how they age in that lore system. I don't know how long they all live.
But I know the Dark Elves is basically what his race is. They basically took immortality, or at least the three, because they were originally known as the Chimer, Chimer, and they were more like light to golden skinned, and they basically betrayed the Daedra in order to like basically capture immortality. At least the Tribunal did. Oh, and like the punishment was towards their entire race. So I think one of the Daedra basically cursed the entire race to basically take on these dark skin and have red eyes. Huh. So it was because of basically the sacrilege they committed.
Interesting. To
try and steal immortality. And at the very end of Morrowind, after Nerevar basically is reincarnated from, like, I guess his name is the Nerevarine is your main character. Yeah. You're a reincarnation of Nerevar that basically took place with all this fights and everything.
Yeah, you
kill the Heart of Lorkhan, which kills immortality, and the Tribunal begin losing their immortality, and they're freaking out because they've been basically deities for I don't know how long, and now they're mortal again, and they're like, fuck!
Yeah, but they're not really gods, though.
They act like it.
Yeah.
So they
they
took immortality against the wishes of one of the Daedra that they basically worshipped, and then also basically they made a pact with the dying Nerevar.
Yeah.
And basically they broke that, and basically they took immortality, and
Huh. Yeah, because like Vivek is just a man.
Yep. Well,
he's the man god or whatever, but they all have power, but...
They do. They basically stole power because they basically used the tools of Kagrenak to like smash the Heart of Lorkhan. When you do that, basically it grants them some type of godlike powers. It grants them immortality and all this other stuff. But I think as long as the Heart of Lorkhan remains basically untouched, and that's why Dagoth takes over in the third one. He ends up taking control of the tools of Kagrenak and the Heart of Lorkhan, which weakens the Tribunal. They're getting ever more weaker, and that's why.
Oh, okay.
So
Lorkhan is something to do with the world, right?
Yeah, basically he was one of there's the Daedra that wanted nothing to do with the creation of the world, and then there was, the Nine Divines.
The Nine Divines.
And then there was Lorkhan, I think, who was part of them, basically sacrificed himself to basically create the world of Mundus.
Yeah.
And I think he basically fell from, the celestial thing, and like his actual body is there, And they actually like basically took pieces of him and I think were basically like deitic pieces.
Huh.
And that's why his heart actually granted like, basically immortality and stuff like that, like divine, pieces of power.
Huh.
So, and that's why people used him for like powerful relics of some way, shape, or form. So, and that's why his heart granted immortality and all this other stuff.
Huh.
But until they killed the heart, then it killed them.
Right.
So
there's a lot of deep lore that I haven't gotten into.
Oh, there's a ton. So if you really dive deep into it, it goes way down the rabbit hole. But that's why I still don't know too much about the aliens, too, for Elder Scrolls 4.
Those were just some ancient elf race.
Yeah, they were there before all the other, like, they were like
races
moved
high
in.
elves or something.
Mm-hmm. So, but it was interesting.
God, the high elves in that game, like the merchants and stuff, are such dicks.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially like in Skyrim, like they formed the Aldmeri Dominion, and they are
definitely dicks,
assholes. Yeah. So
every time I find those guys walking down the road, I stop in front of them to make them attack me, and then I just kill them.
Right. It's like Fush Road up.
Yeah, and then I let the prisoner go, and then kill those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the Aldmeri Dominion.
What in Oblivion is that? Sentries. What do you see?
Yeah, you can't see the giant dragon floating around.
Right. And then there's like the executioner getting ready to like chop off your character.
What is that? Mm-hmm. And fucking General Tullius.
What in Oblivion is that?
You're finally awake.
Yeah.
I don't remember. How does Oblivion start? Are you in a prison?
Yes, you start off in a prison and you're there, and like some elf or something is basically chastising you from the cell across. He's like, "Oh, look."
Yeah.
And he basically like mocks your race. He's like, if you pick an Imperial, like an Imperial locked in the Imperial cell.
Yeah. Like
how does it feel that your own kinsman betrayed you? Yeah. And then just conveniently, like, the Emperor and his like entourage come down. They're just like, oh, the secret passageway out of our castle happens to go through your particular cell. Yeah. Come with us.
And they never tell you what you were locked up for.
Mm-hmm. But there is a hilarious like quest later on in Dark Brotherhood where you're able to go back and kill that guy, and he freaks the fuck out. So if you fall, it's like, I think you end up getting some type of like, contract where it's just like, kill this guy. And you end up going in there and he's just like, no, it's you. Help, God, help. I'm being killed. And you freaking murk him. It's fantastic.
That guy was a dick.
Dark Brotherhood was an all new introduction, I think, in Oblivion. And it really was a really cool quest line. They also introduced poison apples too, which is cool.
They had, where did I get it from? When I was playing Skyrim, they had soul apple.
Soul apple?
Yeah, it acts, or soul potato. Soul tomato. Mm-hmm. It was soul tomato. It acts like a soul gem, but it's a tomato.
I love the poison apples in the game because you basically like you could reverse pickpocket somebody, give them a poison apple, they'll start biting on it, and you see their health bar slowly disintegrating until it goes, ugh! And they go like limp noodle in a chair.
Ugh.
Like, ugh!
I don't remember what I was just doing. I was in a cave or something, and I got paralyzed from across the room, and I fell off a ledge.
There's a lot of good stuff in Oblivion. The one thing I really loved, too, was the add-on packs, because that was the first time they really introduced a lot of microtransactions. Because I know you got, the Game of the Year edition, kind of like what we have here on the table, where it just has, Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles for an add-on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of other smaller ones.
There was. I was trying to install the extra stuff, and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I went to the part in the menu to check, the downloadable content, and it had a bunch of others. I did see the Wizard's Tower.
Wizard's Tower is one of my favorites. So it basically gives you a nice base of operations, and if you get down to the basement of it, there is a ton of chests where you can just put a whole bunch of different loot and everything in. It's great.
Nice.
So, and then they also have two little stands where you can craft your own spells and enchant your own armor on site, so you don't have to constantly go back to the Mages Guild or the University Arcanium and all this stuff.
Yeah. One thing I didn't like in that game is you can only drink 4 potions at a time.
Yeah. You have to sit there and go out of your menu, go back in your menu, drink.
Unless you hotkey the potion, you can keep hitting the D-pad and it'll keep working. But
that's an idea too.
But there was a point where I kept drinking feather potions to make things lighter.
Whee!
And it would only let me drink 4 of them at a time. I'm like, fuck, I still can't carry all this shit. Because I was trying to sell it all.
That's the one thing you got to watch out to is your encumbrance level.
Yeah.
So
that was the thing that I feel like they fixed for Skyrim is when you get over encumbered, you can still move.
Yep. Well, there's also a glitch in that too, where if you get up on a horse, even if you're over encumbered, you can still fast travel.
If you get on a horse over encumbered in Oblivion, you don't move at all. The horse won't even move.
Exactly.
Son of a bitch.
Yep. So they kind of fixed it, although the horses really have no physics because you can go scaling mountains.
Yeah, they were broken in that game.
Oh yeah.
I had a very hard time riding the horse in Oblivion.
The one thing I can't stand about the Skyrim horse is they're so stinking slow compared to like if you buy a black horse in Shadenhall in Oblivion. Oh my god, that thing is just like motoring.
Really?
You're just flying across the plains like holy crap.
Huh. I can't get it. I wasn't sure if there was a run, like a sprint in Oblivion, and there's not.
But most of the horses, like, they are very hit or miss. Like, if you go buy a paint horse down in, like, I think it's Anvil or something, it's very drudgingly slow.
Yeah,
I'm just like...
I got the one from Wayne and Priory, the guy gave to you like, originally. And
that's a paint horse. Now they're plotting. They're just like, okay. No, go to Shadenhall. Get a black horse. They're about like $5,000 to $7,000. Yeah. Buy them, and they're like freaking motor. Huh. That, or if you do the Dark Brotherhood quest, you'll eventually get Shadowmare.
Oh, that's the one that comes up in
Skyrim. You get it again. So you see similar things repeated throughout like different Elder Scrolls games. So like the Skeleton Key, I think like you ended up getting that in Oblivion, and that's such a game breaker too because it breaks all the locks for you, which is so great.
Yeah, and getting that one early was a big help.
Yes, it makes the game go way quicker. Spam that X button just to like quick pick a lock.
I like that they call it security skill in that game instead of lockpick because I think that's the only thing you can do with it, right? Is just pick locks.
Yep. That's the one thing I would like getting back to the whole like level up thing too. I would select mainly all the like the different spells. Like if you have illusion, it's so easy to level up. You just sit there and level up when you go to activate.
Illusion, alchemy, alteration.
Yeah, restoration took a while.
Restoration sucked.
Yeah, mysticism, that one levels up quick. Yeah. Conjuration and blade, I like you conjure something, take 3 swipes at it. Conjure something, take 3 swipes at it, and that'll level up both of those quick, both blade and that.
Yeah, I had blade and blunt as some of my primaries, and the blunt I think I just finished. It took forever.
The one thing I used to do was just to wreck my controllers. I would literally, I would pick sneak, and then at the very intro scene with like, there's like a little goblin that's kind of waiting there, when it like tells you the introduction of like how to sneak in your game.
Yeah,
and I would basically go up. I'd rubber band my joystick. Well, you basically press down on the left joystick if you're playing on an Xbox, and basically rubber band the controllers. That way you're constantly moving forward. Yep. You'll stay in that same spot. You just leave the game there for a couple hours. You'll come back, and you'll be automatically leveled up to like level 50, level 75, level 100. You have to come back and click A just so it goes to the next prompt.
I tried to...
and you'll max out your character stats.
You can do that in any place where there's guards, too.
Yep.
You can get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to do it, but my controller shuts off after like 15 minutes.
That's why you got to do wired controller.
Yeah, even if it's still moving, it pisses me off.
It'll wreck your controller, though, because your controller will get like, if you rubber band it like that, eventually over the course of time you do that enough, it'll just automatically just start making your character like drift. Lean forward. Yeah. The goofy drift. And I used to wreck a bunch of Xbox 360 controllers doing that little trick. It's like, dang it.
Yeah, that's a good one, though.
That's a good way to level up to like level 20 off the bat, so it's pretty handy. The one thing I found, which is kind of interesting too, is like trying to max out all of your main stats. That's one of the hardest things I'm trying to do in my Oblivion game. Like, you know how there's like strength, intelligence, all those? The hardest one is luck. Because what I try to do every time you like level up, I think you're able to add like an attribute to any one of those like categories. I always try to use one of my 3 to go on luck. So, and then there's I think a sign at the beginning of the game, which I think can give you like a little bit of luck, or luck. Maybe it's speed. I usually choose the steed sign to be born under, because that one gives you like an extra boost to your speed, and that makes your game go way quicker. Because I always try to max out speed whenever I play a new Oblivion playthrough, and you can just fly from any place you need to go to. Yeah,
the luck is the only one also that doesn't get any extra points.
Yeah.
Like some will be plus tricky. 2, plus 4, plus 5, and luck gets none.
Yep.
But I don't know what... It doesn't seem to... I don't know what it affects.
I think it's like all-encompassing with everything. I don't know like what all it does, but I know it's way more beneficial for your game.
Yeah, But
I've tried to make the perfect game where I max out luck. I've never been able to do it, but I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Like in Morrowind, you can definitely tell when your luck is higher. Your combat is affected entirely because the way the combat worked in that game. I don't know, just you can tell the effects in that game. Things don't break as easy. And Oblivion, I don't see it as much just because the combat's not total garbage.
I'm thinking it more has to do with like the reward system. Like you go to like look in chests, and all of a sudden it's like
loot,
maybe easier to break into, and like, oh my gosh, you're like, you get way better loot and stuff like that.
I think maybe one thing that I can maybe figure out is, I don't know if it has anything to do with the alchemy ingredients you pick up.
Could be too.
Because you can click on, like there's things I'll click on like 10 mushrooms and get nothing.
Yeah.
You find nothing of use. There's a giant mushroom cap in my face and I find nothing of use. Are you kidding me? But then sometimes you'll get 8 things in a row that you pick. I think maybe it could affect that. I'm not really sure.
Yep.
I don't know why they got rid of that, honestly.
Who knows? I do know, like, the one thing that, I don't know if they introduced this in Morrowind, but I know in Oblivion for sure, every 10 levels, I think you get access to, like, all new armor stuff. Because, like, you hit level 10, I think mithril armor becomes available. Then you get to level 20, I think you get more...
Like glass and elven.
Elven armor, and then glass, and then all that other stuff. Is like, every 10 levels you go up and you get...
Like, then the ebony, and then the Daedric armor shows up.
Yeah. Which is wild because
heavy.
The big thing is, like, you basically go into all these Oblivion gates throughout Oblivion trying to, like, basically get these things called sigil stones to deactivate them. And you'd be killing Daedra along the way, and you couldn't pick up their armor, which looked awesome in the beginning.
Yeah, but
it's not until a certain level then you go and finally can pick it up.
And then there's, when you first start doing those, there's, like, Daedra weapons.
Yeah.
And then you get in there later, and there's Daedric weapons.
Yep.
And they're completely different and way more powerful.
Yep.
And way heavier.
I still remember one of the more stronger blades in that game was Umbra. I think that's a Daedric quest. That one's fun.
I still have that one.
And then one of the DLCs, which they ended up actually bringing back in the main part of the Skyrim game, is Mehrunes Razor.
Oh, yeah.
Which that thing's fun. And there was actually a funny thing that happened to me because I think there's like a 1 in 16th chance for an auto kill. So if you swing that thing around enough times, it'll just automatically kill somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody had a reflective spell on, 100% reflective, and I actually struck the guy on the 16th blow. It auto-killed my character. I'm like, what the heck happened? I'm like, he had spell reflect on.
That's fantastic.
Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
So it reflected Mehrunes Razor's effect back at me. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I hated going into the Oblivion gates, like the towers, and the Daedra would have the paralyzed weapons.
Oh, yeah. You'd be like, ugh.
Yeah, I'd just get conked, and I'd go to get back up and paralyzed again. But I don't know if it actually happens in Skyrim, but at least they run out of magic in Oblivion. Their weapons will get worn down. They'll run out of power.
Yep.
I don't think
they'll pull out a sword or something.
Yeah, I don't think that works in Skyrim.
Nope.
Because, like, you can pick up a weapon that has a charge, but I don't think it runs out. But it definitely does in Oblivion because they eventually stopped paralyzing me.
Yep. So it's a whole different type of, like, setup with that stuff. So, but I loved Oblivion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of it that I enjoy more than Skyrim, actually.
I like just because, like, I feel like it's a bigger area and it's more diverse because, like, the different cities offer something like, a whole different kind of experience.
Yeah.
So, like, if you go up to Bruma, it feels more like a Skyrim city because it's up in the snow and everything. You go down to Leyawiin, and it feels almost like Black Marsh, the whole region where the Argonians are. Yeah. Where it's more swampy and marshy.
Buggy.
Yeah. And then going to, like, I'm trying to think of some of the different... I loved Anvil. I thought Anvil was just gorgeous. It's a nice little port city. Yeah. So...
And, like, the Imperial City is just different from every single thing in the game.
Yeah, it's nice, centrally located, which I think is kind of cool.
It's got the white gold tower, and the walls are really big, and it's very illustrious. And
very imposing.
Yeah.
So you go across that big bridge. So kind of has essences, kind of like, I guess, what Osgiliath would probably be like in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So kind of got a little bit of that vibe. And then, trying to think, Coral was an interesting city. I really wished, and modders took over this, too, if you play on the Elder Scrolls 4 Online version, where they actually rebuilt Kvatch.
Oh, really?
Because Kvatch is completely decimated in the console version.
And I guess, it wouldn't come back then. They wouldn't ever rebuild it as far as gameplay.
But if you, like, download a mod and actually play, like, a remastered Kvatch, it really is a really cool city. It's just a shame it was so destroyed.
When you go through it, it looks like it would have been fairly large.
It is a big city.
Yeah.
So, did you do the other quest for that, too, where, like, you try and go and find like the Lord of the Land or something like that with like the Captain's Guard, because you go there to basically save Martin Septim, and then there's one where you can continue on and go through the rest of this to try and find the Count or Countess.
Oh yeah, and he's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah,
and the King's Guard is just like, it's in vain.
Yeah, he gives you his armor.
Yep.
Which actually it was just Kvatch armor, but it was the only one that has like special perks on it.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it was decent armor.
Yeah, it was pretty good at the very beginning of your game.
Yeah, I didn't get that one early enough, so it wasn't of any use.
One of the things that kind of drove me a little bit nuts about that game compared to Skyrim was the illusion spell. Like, if you wanted to try and like illuminate a cave, instead of carrying a torch around everywhere, you could cast this illumination spell. Yeah. It had a very weird green tint in Oblivion.
That annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah, so like half your game would be like plastered green when you're going through all these dungeon delves.
And then you get into like a dialogue thing with somebody and it's just casting them in this
weird green aura.
It's just green yellow.
It's like, ugh.
Yeah, they should have went with blue like in Skyrim.
That or some type of like lighter color. Because even white would have done the trick, because like they fixed that in Skyrim where it's like cast mage light or like candlelight and it like hovers above your head and like everything's like illuminated with like an extra, LED filler.
I have the helmet that I wear most of the time. because I'm always in somewhere dark, is a helmet that has light. So it's always glowing.
Yep. I remember one of the things I ended up doing, because me and Sean were the ones who like really got into Oblivion back in the day. We ended up learning that like being able to like cast or enchant your armor with grand soul gems was the most powerful like enchantment you could do. If you enchanted 20% chameleon onto like, or 25% chameleon on 4 different pieces of armor, you could get 100% invisibility and walk past everybody. And it was like the perfect little cheat, because then you could basically blaze through like all these different Oblivion gates. Nobody would attack you. If you had to do like special like sneak missions, you could easily just go by everybody. No one would know you're there.
Offhand, do you know if the black soul gems are more powerful in this than grand soul gems the way they are in Skyrim?
Supposedly, I think they're either on par with grand soul gems or more powerful. So I think there's a way you can actually make grand soul gems too, where you have to wait for like a special night or something like that, and there's like a beam of light that shoots down on this particular pedestal. You put a grand soul gem there. I don't know if you cast a spell or do something, and it eventually turns into a grand soul gem. So in the Soul Cairn and the DLC Dawn Guard, I think it has a similar thing with that too.
Yeah, light
will come down and strike it, and it'll turn into a black soul gem.
Yeah.
And the soul gem shards do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I don't understand what the point of those was.
I don't know, aesthetic.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, it's pretty.
Just a miscellaneous item, like bowls and plates.
Yeah, I do like the Atronachs. I think in Elder Scrolls V Skyrim more than I think the ones in Oblivion as well.
Yeah, I don't like them, and I didn't like them really in the first one either. But the graphics in that one were pretty clunky. I do miss from Oblivion to Skyrim how many enemies there are that aren't in that game anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot more different enemy, and not to mention the big thing I was going to tell you about too, skeletons. Oh, yeah. Skeletons in Oblivion compared to Skyrim, it's like night and day.
Yeah, because
they are bastards in Oblivion.
Skeleton heroes and champions that summon other skeletons.
Yeah, it's monotonous. It's like, oh my god. And they sit there and you swipe it away. It's like, and they're like screaming and screeching at you. And then you go to play Skyrim and you hit them one time and they just like fall apart. They're like a pile of bones. It's like, oh.
Yeah, that Skyrim was definitely a much more simplistic.
Well, then they wanted to basically get you introduced to Draugr. Yeah. So it's kind of like the Norse version of the
skeletons.
Well, basically like a zombie.
Yeah.
So, and the zombies are in Oblivion too, which they're kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But they're not as numerous as that of a bunch of skeletons. Yeah. So skeletons were a big deal in Oblivion.
Well, my level was still pretty low. I walked into the one Alien place and there was freaking dread zombies everywhere. And they regenerate health. They regenerated health faster than I could deal it, and they would two-hit me. Fuck. So
son of a bitch.
That and one thing that there's always something that irks me, and it's the staggering in this game.
Oh yeah,
I'll get smacked and I'll get staggered, and then somebody will come over and beat the shit out of me more, stagger me again, beat me up more. I just got wiped out. I couldn't even do anything.
And the one thing that drove me nuts was I think it was weapon and armor integrity.
Oh yeah,
because you don't have that. I don't think in Skyrim, right?
Got rid of that.
Yeah. So basically, every time you take a swipe with your sword, it would get progressively weaker and weaker until you basically
broke it.
Were in an area where you weren't surrounded by enemies, and you could use a repair hammer to literally build it back up to its integrity again.
And if you max out that armorer skill,
it'll take up to 125.
Yeah, that's on 75. If you get it to 100, you only carry one hammer and it never breaks.
Yep.
Never runs out, which was super nice.
It was because it wasn't taking a bunch of room in your inventory.
I mean, they had that in
is that Morrowind too?
Fallout 3. They had it in Morrowind also, but Fallout 3 had a similar system.
Fallout 3 and Oblivion. It's basically like Oblivion with guns and a post-apocalyptic thing.
In Fallout, though, I think you had to have alternate sets of that item to repair it with.
Oh, that's right.
Like you could, if you had 4 baseball bats, you could stack the one baseball bat and repair it that way.
Yep, I remember that. Because I remember I took a whole bunch of 10 Magnum pistols or something like that, and basically able to use the pieces, parts, and the other ones to basically fix the other. So it was a different type of repair thing in that game.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the repair thing. I'm in Skyrim, as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad it's gone. Because either I'd be in a fight and I'd forgotten to do it, or I do it every 4 seconds.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing, because after a while, you'd be sitting there fighting in combat, and all of a sudden you just hear clank, and it's like your weapon broke. It's like, oh no!
Yeah, you get 2 hit by something strong, and your armor's destroyed, and your weapon's broke.
Yep. I was always a summoner class, so I'd always max out conjuration, so I'd summon like a Storm Atronach, and he would basically just do my bidding for me and just blast people to oblivion.
There was, I know that the game is as old as it is, and like sometimes the pathfinding for allies and enemies alike is just horrible. So you like I would summon the Atronach and it would just run into a corner, like trying to get somewhere, and it's just stuck, and I'm getting smashed by the Daedra.
What are you doing?
Yeah, get over here.
That's the one thing. My brother Ryan, when he ended up playing Skyrim for the first time, he ended up summoning the Daedra Lord, which I love that guy because he runs into the fight. He's just like, oh,
I smell weakness.
yeah, and just like run like straight at the enemy. I'm like, yeah now we're talking.
His dialogue is good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used him in Oblivion too, and he didn't seem that effective. He kind of got smacked around a little bit.
Yeah, I always went to Storm Atronach whenever you wanted to go with any like heavy hitters for conjuration.
Yeah.
So you can also summon like some big spider.
Yeah, the
lady.
spider Daedra. Mm-hmm. You can summon the Lich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Lich was interesting. It didn't last that long though. I don't think. It's like only like 30 seconds or something. I'm like, what the?
Yeah, the Storm Atronach either was 20 or 30 seconds. He wasn't long.
It's definitely worth getting the extra DLC for the full experience of Oblivion though, because oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff too, because I think there's like the Fighter Stronghold is an interesting one because you actually get a castle you can take over. And there's actually a hidden quest where there's like, it doesn't pop up as a quest. It's kind of like, one of those ones where like you find a little paper for it, but it won't give you a prompt for it. Yeah. And there's actually a secret area that's tucked back in where you fight the old owner who turned into a lich.
Really?
It's wild. Huh. So that's a real fun quest to do. The first thing you come upon the Fighter Stronghold, everybody's just basically trying to, a whole bunch of like random rogue fighters are fighting over the territory, trying to claim the property. Huh. Because the guy, I don't know if he set out some big thing like whoever basically, is able to defend off this castle can keep it. Huh. So everybody's just like trying to war over this thing, trying to claim the castle, and end up you come in and just like murk everybody. Huh.
It was kind of strange going from Skyrim to Oblivion because in Skyrim there's like 2 castles, and then in Skyrim they're everywhere, or in Oblivion they're everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I just always thought they were a little out of place in Skyrim because they looked like a generic vampire's castle. Yeah.
Well, Skyrim's supposed to go with more like a Norse type feel. That's why there was a lot more like thatch hut type things.
Yeah, and like the horse-headed building.
Yeah, it took more inspiration from like Edoras from Lord of the Rings.
For sure.
So Theoden's Hall feels like Whiterun, a complete ripoff.
Yeah.
So, but that's where they got the inspiration for that, and that's why a lot of Skyrim feels like Two Towers.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do like the different cities because they feel like they're more reciprocal to the region of where they're built. Yeah. So, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, each one's a little different, which is neat.
Yeah, Shaden Hall's kind of got like, very European style feel to it. Bruma feels more like Skyrim. Yeah, Braville's kind of like nice and centrally located, so.
That's the one that's south of the Imperial
It's kind of a smaller city that's just south of the Imperial City, yeah. Coral, I always call it Coral. That one's up in, what's that? Yeah, the northwest corner.
That's the one with the Blades outpost above it, right?
Yep. Skingrad's the other one, and then, Kavach down below that, and then below that's Anvil. So, and then you got Leyawiin down in the far southeast corner. So, but yeah, lots of different cities, lots of different, I think you get different horses at each one, too, at their stables, which is kind of cool. But
yeah, I'm enjoying so far the little bit that I've gone through Shivering Isles.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't done much.
Shivering Isles is like, it's still revered as one of the best DLCs, I think, in all the Elder Scrolls games. And I agree. It's
been fun.
That and the dialogue's fantastic. The stories are so, like, absurdly off the wall. Like, what in the world?
Do you remember it was the Dragonborn DLC in Skyrim, when you go into any of the Apocrypha areas, and there's like there's a thing on the wall and a big glow like green or red, and it restores your fatigue or
your stamina or your health. Or
it looks like some kind of creature's head. Do you have any idea what those things are?
No idea.
They look sort of like the Grummites in Shivering Isles.
Really?
A little bit. But that doesn't make sense because it's a different guy.
I don't know.
Like one is Hermaeus Mora and the other guy is...
Hermaeus Mora.
Yeah, is Sheogorath.
I love all the different Daedra characters, too, because it definitely added like a different flavor to everything.
Yeah, there's actually... I thought there was I didn't realize there was so many more than the game shows. Like there's 16 princes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a
16
lot more.
Daedra princes. And they're basically genderless, I think, too. They just take on the form of whatever they feels appropriate.
Yeah,
so
like Clavicus Vile.
Even though one presents as like a female, they really could be like, any type of sex.
Yeah, like Nocturnal shows up in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Very busty and scantily clad.
Yep.
And then Clavicus Vile. Oh, he doesn't show up in that one. He just talks to you through the statue and the dog.
I was going to say, is that the one with Barbas the dog?
Yeah.
Barbas. Have you seen my master?
Yeah, he's in...
He's the one, like, you run into the stray dog outside of Falkreath, I think in Skyrim.
And then
I'm Bobbus.
he's got the statue in Cyrodiil, and it's a kid with the dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had some good quests in that one. I think like the hair scene quest in in Skyrim. In the Skyrim one, what you're like hunting a werewolf or something like that. I'm not 100% sure what that one is. And then in the
he gives you a chest plate.
Yeah,
It looks
and then
cool.
the hair scene quest, I think in Oblivion, you actually end up hunting a unicorn and killing it for its horn.
Huh.
And it's like in the middle of this grotto, and it's got 2 minotaurs that are defending it.
The fucking minotaurs.
So it will, like, if you're not prepared, they will absolutely just smash the crap out of your character.
I remember the first time I bumped into one of those. I'm just walking through the countryside, and it's playing its nice music, and then like the music changes to the combat music. I'm like, what am I about to fight? And this fucking minotaur comes running up this hill at me. I'm like, holy shit! It really is a minotaur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely captures. Or that's the other thing too. Like you said, like I feel like there was more diversity of like enemy characters in Oblivion compared to Skyrim.
Yeah, Skyrim's got like skeletons, necromancers, and
Draugr,
and that's about it. Besides the dragons.
Yep. And were there imps in Oblivion? I think there were. The things are like, they're like little flying things.
Bat
they make like little chirp noises when you hit them. Like,
yeah, there's none of those in Skyrim.
Which I was kind of surprised because they're more towards the northern part of Cyrodiil. So you think that maybe they like a few would wander into Skyrim,
right?
At least by Falkreath, but
yeah, there's like the imps. There's wolves. There's dogs. The minotaurs, ogres. They're just nothing but a sponge.
There's no ogres in Skyrim, is there?
No, you get giants.
Wild.
Which do the hilarious thing where they smash you with the hammer
and they go flying into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
Like, lip noodle.
Yep, you
ragdolling around. You ever see they ended up making an internet meme of like the Top Gear guys? They're like basically trying to like throw or shoot a catapult shot over at a giant and they miss.
Oh yeah.
And he comes over and he's like, well, and they get smashed and it shows them going ragdolling up in the sky.
I did see that.
Fantastic edit. Forever impressed with the internet.
Yeah, right.
My gosh. I'm trying to remember some of my favorite moments in Oblivion, but you've never played the Knights of Nine add-on, have you?
Not yet.
That one's pretty substantial too. Nowhere near as involved as Shivering Isles, but that one's a lot of fun.
Okay.
So that one you end up basically restoring the order of the, what's that? Wayne and Priory or Knights of the Priory or something like that. And you basically go around and recruit different people and they form some big thing and you're supposed to go against Umaril, the Unfeathered.
Ooh.
So basically, you need to kind of like if you ever played Diablo, where basically you need to kill him, I think, both in his physical form and in his spiritual form. I won't spoil too much for you, but like it really is a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, I'll start that one when I'm done with.
Nowhere near as involved as Shivering Isles, so.
I haven't tried yet, but can you leave the Shivering Isles and go back to Cyrodiil?
Oh, yeah. So I'm pretty sure you could probably just fast travel back to the gate and then plop through the gate. So I think you could do that at any time.
I figured.
I wouldn't know because I never really played Shivering Isles. After when I first downloaded, I played it like crazy, so I was so used to it. Like I wanted to stick to the main storyline before I jumped back in.
My inventory is getting full.
Oh yeah,
and I have no place to dump that shit.
Yeah, because you really don't get a city in there, so that's interesting. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you should be able to fast travel back to like at least go back to the gate, and I think you can walk back to like the main portal.
Yeah,
which I think is a book or something. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I played it.
I don't know. Last I checked, you walk into like the entryway, Haskell's there, and he disappears.
Yeah, and there's like a whole bunch of butterflies fly at you, and all of a sudden, woof!
Yeah, he's like, pick a way to go through, and you go through.
You must pick the path of dementia or the path of mania.
Yeah, I haven't been down to...
Dementia is very depressing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, mania is the one where it's just like a very vibrant, colorful area. It's like, whoa.
Oh, just like the rest of Cyrodiil, which is super saturated.
Psychedelic.
Yeah, with
everybody's got shrooms.
Yeah, there's fucking giant mushrooms everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's the thing too. They add all new like different types of enemies in Shivering Isles, which is really cool.
The gnarls, the weird tree things.
That's one thing I like about the different Elder Scrolls games. They show you different planes of Oblivion, which is kind of cool. Because like in ESO, they show you Cold Harbor, which is the plane of Oblivion where Moloch Bala is. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
so it shows and he has like these giant Oblivion anchor chains that like anchor to the ground. He's able to like summon people to and from.
That's where the
Lundus.
That's where the
or Nirn.
Some of the vampires come from.
Mm-hmm.
Because they get, I think, porked by Molag Bal and they become pureblood vampires.
Yep, and that's where the whole time with the antagonist of I think it's the Mages Guild quest line, Manamarco, the King of Worms. Mm-hmm. He makes a reoccurrence or like resurgence in Oblivion. But he's like the main antagonist of Elder Scrolls Online.
Huh.
So, and it shows his whole story, and that's actually pretty interesting.
Nice.
But yeah, and then we end up seeing basically the Oblivion Gates with
Mehrunes Dagon.
Mehrunes Dagon in Oblivion. So
I can't think if there's a Daedric realm of any kind in Morrowind. I don't
that's
remember.
a good question.
I just know that there's Daedric shrines everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the structures are literally all over the place, and I thought that was really cool.
And the shrines are very elaborate, too, even in Morrowind.
Yeah.
So it's just like, the actual, representation of the deity there.
Yeah, which is strange that, I don't know, I thought it was weird that for being Dark Elves, they had Daedra shrines everywhere. I didn't realize they were into Daedra so much.
Mm-hmm. Well, they say there's that one area, what's that, Rorikstead? Is that there's like a supposed conspiracy that there are actually secret Daedra worshippers there.
Yeah, because they're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's so fertile, and everybody's like so happy and prosperous.
And there's like a bunch of books that like reference like a whole bunch of like Daedra there, and it's like, what the heck?
Yeah, if you go into somebody's house, there's like a Daedra book somewhere.
Mm-hmm. It's like, the heck is going on with this place?
Right?
Not as it seems.
Did you haven't read...
I haven't read any of the Elder Scrolls books,
Infernal
like the
City.
Infernal City or what's the other one?
Lord of Souls.
Yeah, I've not read either one of those. I have Infernal City.
Those have a lot of references to Oblivion. Like a lot.
Well, I think, a lot of them tied in with, I think, the very end of Oblivion, those books came out, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
So.
they're set sometime after Oblivion, but they do tie in a lot. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, I got to check those things out, because I've always gotten into, like, a lot of the Elder Scrolls stuff. It's been fun.
They're fun. I like those books. They weren't nearly as Elder Scrolls-y as I thought they would be, but they were still good.
Yeah, I've heard good things about them, so I'm excited to kind of, like, get my chance to read at them.
Oh, that intro, though, it slaps.
But the intro to Oblivion?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, the cinematic pan-in, just...
And the music is fantastic.
Then the voice of Patrick Stewart narrating everything.
Is he the one narrating?
Yeah, he's the voice of Emperor Uriel Septim, the fourth?
Really?
Yep.
Holy shit.
I'm your emperor.
And he's the one that dies in the sewers.
Yeah.
Huh.
He's like, close shut the jaws of Oblivion.
I knew you. I saw you in a dream. Dead. Oh, the Emperor's dead.
Yeah, he just, like, basically flops like a fish at, like, the most random time. He's like, I can go on no longer. You alone must blah, 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 take the amulet of kings to Joffrey, who proceeds to, like, lose it.
Yeah.
I've taken it. I've taken the amulet of
Yeah,
kings.
good job. You really kept it safe.
Like, you freaking piece of...
Yeah, right?
We're down there saving the air, and this guy, like, all he has to do is just save this one little jewel thing.
Right.
They've taken it. Oh, no.
And you're a blade? Come on.
Yeah. A blade of what? You guys have failed at every freaking corner of everything.
I do like the guy in Skyrim that his ancestors were Mythic Dawn. He was in...
Oh, yeah, he's trying to, like, basically resurrect his heritage.
Yeah.
And then Mehrunes Dagon basically talks to him. He's just like,
Kill him.
his family's basically served me well. Kill him.
Yeah.
With my razor. He's like, what? No.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
And it's just like, okay, karma.
I thought it would have been way cooler had that guy, in hindsight, having played Oblivion now, if he would have done the spell that gave him, like, the Mythic Dawn armor. I thought that would have been neat.
That would have been a good tie-in. Because there is, like, conjuration spells that'll give you, like, what, enhanced armor and weapons, I think, in Skyrim.
Yeah, the bound armor.
Mm-hmm.
I think you get that also in Skyrim, but it's just the goofy, like, ghost blades.
Yeah.
But the stuff you get in Oblivion is awesome.
Yeah. There's, like I said, a lot more customization, a lot more spells, a lot more stuff to do. But once again, they keep simplifying and dumbing down everything, I think, for, like, to try and bring in a bigger audience than what they
accessible.
had. And like you said, because, like, you go back to Morrowind, it's all text speed, where basically you're reading and reading more dialogue, and no one's, like, there's no voice acting. There's no, like, to really make it feel like an immersive, like, exchanging experience.
Yeah.
So, and that adds to the immersion of everything. That's why I love Skyrim so much, because there was no real text-based thing.
Right.
Where, like, yeah, you basically text what you say, but, like, they're always talking to you. It felt like you were actually having a conversation there. So...
They did a thing in Skyrim from Oblivion, though, that I do like with the enchantment, how you can put 2 enchantments on armor.
Yeah, that was awesome. And that's when you get, like, what, the max out?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge fan of the enchantment system. Mm-hmm. It seems it's very limited, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, you do the Grand Soul Gem to get the most power out of it, but then depending what you put, you get, like, 10 hits.
Yeah.
And you got to recharge.
I always thought that was kind of clunky, too.
I mean, I don't know. I like what you're going for, and I like having to recharge things, but I feel like you have to do it too frequently. But then in Skyrim, you have to do it so infrequently.
Well, in Skyrim, there's also a busted thing, too, where, like, enchantment enhances alchemy, and alchemy enhances enchantment. So you can go through a broken loop of things where you're constantly, use alchemy to craft better enchantment buffs, which create better alchemy buffs, which create in this indefinite loop. And you get to a point where it busts the game, and it basically makes it so it only caps out at a certain level, and it actually brings you back down.
Yeah, I think you can only raise your alchemy to like 32% enhancement, and then I think the same with enchantment.
Well, if you try to enchant any more than that, like it'll bring your weapons back down to like a certain level. Because before you could get like some ridiculous thing where it's like you're causing 10,000 damage with like your sword, and it's like what the So it's just preposterous.
Yeah, I keep seeing things like in Oblivion, and I'm like, oh, makes me want to go play Skyrim, but I'm not about to jump back into that boat yet.
Yeah. So, but no, have fun with the rest of Oblivion too, because it is a fun little ride here.
Yeah, I'm still going to do the Fighters Guild.
Fighters Guild is the longest, most drudging thing in that whole game, so I'd recommend probably doing that last.
Okay.
So, if you're going to have fun, the Dark Brotherhood's a blast. That one is absolutely that's the next one to do. I'm trying to think how you get started with that one.
Dude showed up on my house already.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he give you the where you know?
Yeah, he gave me that in the letter. Or no, he gave me the Blade of Woe and told me to go kill someone.
Yep. Okay, so you're already on the path for that one. You have to go to some random like inn somewhere, I think, and like kill him with the Blade of Woe.
Like,
you get bonuses, I think, for killing him with the recommended items.
Oh.
So that's how you get like extra bounties and you get paid, and then you'll get a bunch of dead drops later on. So you'll see where it goes. It's actually a hoot of a story.
Yeah.
And then Thieves Guild's interesting because you end up helping out the Gray Fox, who speaks and always says capital.
Gray Fox. There was references to that character in Skyrim, maybe.
Oh yeah,
just very little.
Mm-hmm. We can also get like the Gray Fox's mask and stuff like that if you do the creation kit stuff.
Huh.
So, but then everybody like chases you because if you end up getting, I think in Skyrim, if you end up buying the Gray Fox thing from the creation kit, it'll actually give you like his cowl. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure like it increases your feathering ability or in, like the amount of stuff you can carry, but it makes all guards go like hostile. It's just like, oh, Gray Fox, need to attack him. So it's like a weird trade-off.
There's a lot of armor and stuff in Oblivion that kind of irritates me because it'll have like a bunch of really cool perks, like it'll buff your strength and it's got disease resistance and you can breathe underwater.
Yeah.
But then it's like it drains your willpower 10 points.
Yeah.
Drains your speed 5 points. Like, stop it.
One of my favorite add-on packs is there's like a Pirates Cove add-on. Over on the other side of Anvil, like right beside I think where the lighthouse is, you go underneath the castle area and there's like a little place where basically you kill a whole bunch of skeletons and then you basically are able to revitalize this entire it's like a ship that's inside of a cove. Like there's a half a ship and a whole ship.
Huh.
And you're basically able to recruit an entire pirate crew and they go out and plunder for you.
Oh, nice.
It's great.
Huh.
So you go talk to after you kill off all the skeletons there, take all their cutlasses because they got some sweet swords.
Yeah.
You end up going into the captain's quarters, which is like a half a ship. Mm-hmm. And basically it'll have like his diary kind of like thrown about on like the floor on like his little notstand. And you collect all that stuff, go back to some lady that's over in the dockyard, and she'll set you up with basically all pirate stuff and basically get your own little crew to go out and plunder. It's an awesome add-on. I highly recommend that one.
Have you seen those red guards? They have curved swords. Yeah. Curved swords.
Which they actually do better for its cavalry swords, actually. That's where the curvature comes from. So
I'll have to check the Pirates Cove out.
Yeah. That one's a cool one. Some of the other ones. Like I said, Mayrune's Razor's good. There is I think Vile Lair, which is kind of like if you're a vampire character, that one's good. It's the very bottom southeast corner of the map, even below Leowin. So, but that one's interesting. What's some of the other ones? There's a Spell Tome book.
There's these fucking trolls down there by Leowin. They're like Azclan trolls.
Mm-hmm.
They regenerate health super fast, and they damage you so fucking bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because those things beat the bejesus out of me one time. I went to a cave down there, and there was like 3 of them, and I just kept getting killed. Mm-hmm. I was so low leveled. I don't even know what to do about this. What do I do?
Right. So a lot of the Daedra quests are fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the one where it's kind of like a play on this one book where it's like a dinner party where everybody gets killed? I think that's in the Dark Brotherhood, which is a hoot. So basically, you're invited to this dinner party with a whole bunch of people who think they're highfalutin or something like that. And you basically, the goal is for you to try and be anonymous, where you're the one who's actually the killer going around killing everybody. Huh. So you need to try and isolate these 5 or 6 different guests in this house, get them alone, either like they'll go upstairs and take a nap, or they'll go down in the basement by themselves to go grab more wine or something, and you kill them off. And then you come back up and everyone's like, oh my God, someone else has been murdered. Who's the villain? And you can basically try and pit or like accuse other people. Just like, I think it might be them. Huh. And basically have a lot of fun. Basically, you know, it comes down to you versus one other person. They said, you're the killer. And you basically kill them. And if you are not found out, you get a bonus at the end of it. It is a fun quest.
I'll have to check that one out.
So that was just wild. But it's based off of a book. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But it's
Clue.
Yeah, kind of similar to Clue. But it's hilarious. So that was a good one. Dark Brotherhood must do that quest line next. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Have fun. We'll come back and have another podcast, too, about talking about that more.
Why do I have the yawns?
Yeah, talking so much. So, but yeah, we'll probably wrap this one up then. Okay. So, but yeah, man, thanks for coming over and to talk some Oblivion. So we'll talk more Elder Scrolls in the future here, too.
Yeah, when I can knock some more of these quests out, I can give some reactions and a little more insight.
Yeah. All right. And with that, thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next time on It All Depends on the Situation.
Bye. Have fun.
So long.
Farewell.